What's going on, guys? What's going on, my friends? Because you guys are my friends. Every time I make a video, I feel like I'm talking with my friends, and I know that someone out there feels the same thing. All right, so how are you, my dear friend? In this video, we're talking about how many sets should you be doing per workout. All right, how many sets is enough? How many sets is considered overdoing it, and how many sets is just not doing it enough? Alright, so I'll talk about this in this video, and it's for muscle growth purpose. If you're someone trying to get stronger or go to powerlifting or lift as heavy weight as possible, you might want to get your information somewhere else. I'm a natural bodybuilder, I'm focusing on bodybuilding, and my goal is building as much muscles as possible. That's really the center of my workout and the reason why I work out. Alright, so you might see someone else saying something else. It's different goals. If your goal is building muscle mass, this video is for you. So, first thing first, when someone begins, you're a beginner, you're just starting getting to the gym, you've been hitting the gym for, I don't know, 2 weeks, 2 months, 6 months, you're still a beginner. And your muscles will need a lot less volume to grow. Because think about your muscles, well, we need to break down muscle fiber. You gotta destroy them so they build back up stronger. And the more you destroy them, the stronger they are. The more you destroy them, the more there is resistance. So the more you gotta push the intensity and the volume to kind of break them down. But if you're just starting to work out, well, guess what? A few sets of chest and your chest will be done. I've got some clients that come to my gym, and when I give them 4 sets of bodyweight squats, they can't even walk. They're sore for 2-3 days because their muscles were so sensitive. Those muscle fibers are still so fresh and new that they got broken down super easily. But for someone that's been training for over a year, we can consider that those muscles become harder to break down, a bit more resilience, and that's why this video will apply to you. Alright, so if you're a beginner, few sets, if it's your first day at the gym or first week or first month, don't overdo it. Actually, you can do more harm than good when you're overdoing it, because then you can't over break down those muscle fibers. As soon as you break them down and you kind of get that muscle to failure, there's no more point on keep destroying those legs, because then you might just affect your nervous system and risk injuries. All right, so you want to take a different approach where you go lighter. Now, if you're more advanced, this video is for you. So I have a little kind of I separate my muscle group with a big muscle group and a small muscle group. All right, that's just how I started training. The coach told me there's 3 big muscle groups: legs, chest, and back. There's small muscle groups, which are biceps, triceps, shoulders. They're not, yes, shoulders are technically bigger. If you'll you know what, let's put shoulders with the big muscle group. So let's say 4 big muscle group: chest, back, shoulders, and legs. Now we've got the smaller muscle groups, which are the biceps, the triceps, let's say the calves. All right, so those are the smaller muscle groups. Let's add the abs in them. All right, abs, biceps, triceps, and the calves. So for the big muscle groups, what I would do is I would do 16 working sets. 16 working sets. It doesn't mean 16 sets with the warm-ups in. 16 working sets, which each single set I'm approaching failure. So that could be 4 exercises of 4 sets each. Alright, and that I would call it a day after that chest workout. I would do, for example, let's say 4 exercises where you're doing 2 presses, 2 flies. I would usually add a body weight of a push-up after, but let's just talk about the presses and the flies. Let's say an incline press, a flat press, an incline, a decline cable crossover flies, and a pec deck fly. So we have 4 exercises. If you do 4 working sets on each and you get them close to failure, that is pretty much all you need for you to grow your chest, because you'll be pushing the intensity hard enough and your sets hard enough. You don't necessarily need to go to failure to each set, but you'll be giving your chest muscles enough volume for them to, for you to break down those muscle fibers and grow. Now, a lot of time when you get more and more advanced, what you want to add is sets intensifiers. So I've been training for over 10 years. For me, just doing single straight sets don't always cut it. All right. And that is why, hence, I do a lot of supersets, giant sets, pre-exhaustion sets. So let's say after my bench press, I'll jump on the floor and do some push-ups, because maybe just doing the bench press as its own on one set would have been enough 4 or 5 years ago. But now I gotta give my body a little bit more. This could be more weight used. So more weight is a way to intensify your set, but there is so many more ways. that are more efficient than just adding more load on the bar. One of them is doing supersets, drop sets. So let's say you're doing a drop set, you drop the weight, you go for another set. This is still considered the one set that you've just done. You still just say I did one set. But there you are, you did probably 3-4 real drop sets. It got your chest to failure differently, but we count that at one set. You can do supersets, giant sets. Sometimes I'll work in circuits and I'll do a chest fly, a bench press, and a push-up. And those three, I would consider them as one set out of the 16 that I'll be doing. All right, so you get the point. So 16 is a good number for a big muscle, but then there's something called sets intensifiers that will help you even as you advance, as you progress, to keep that intensity high without necessarily adding the sets and adding more time in the gym. All right, because I'm not saying the more you advance, the more you gotta add the sets, because then you'll have to stay 4 hours in the gym after 20 years of training. That's not the goal, but you gotta intensify those sets, which means doing the drop sets and the supersets and the circuits and the pre-exhaustion. Sometimes I will do, let's say, a lot of pre-exhaustion means fatiguing the muscle before you start. So let's say I'm training my legs. I want to make each set count more the more you advance. So what I would do leg extension before jumping on my squats. So before doing my squats, I would do leg extension. What this does is kind of pre-fatigue your legs. Your quads are pre-fatigued. So do 4 sets of leg extension, close to failure, and then go to squatting. And trust me, you'll put a lot less weight on the bar and you'll feel your quads so much more. And next day, chances are you'll be a lot more sore. The sets of squats were more beneficial for you done that way if you want to grow your muscles than getting in the gym and jumping straight to the squat rack. All right, because first of all, when you pre-exhaust, well, you turn on those muscles, you turn on those quads, the quads. So now you have a better mind muscle connection once you're squatting, and you're not just feeling your lower back and your butt, but that rather you're feeling your quads. Number 2, you lower the risk of injury. Number 2, you lower the risk of injury. Number 3, you can get those muscle group to failure a lot better. So now you need a lot less weight to get those quads to failure because they're already fatigued. All right. So that's something that I would do for my pre-exhaustion. But I wouldn't have done that a few years back because it was enough for me to grow just for my one set of squat on its own. You get the point? So that's how I go about things for big muscle groups. I would add sets intensifier as I advance. And this is something that it's a personal thing that you will be looking in the mirror and seeing, well, you know what, I'm not progressing anymore. Now it's time for you to add those sets intensifier. And sometimes you will just be adding weight on the bar when you're doing your straight sets, but you're not seeing any progress. That's when it's time for you to maybe drop the weight a bit, improve your technique. You know what? Sets intensifier can also be better technique, better range of motion, better time under tension, a better mind muscle connection, a better squeeze, a better contraction. Yes, it could be. That's a way to progressively overload. You don't necessarily always need to add weight on the bar. So that was the big muscle group thing. For the small muscle group, 6 to 8 sets. 6 to 8 sets, and 8 would be on the higher end of doing my triceps. I would do 6. Let's say I'm doing 2 exercises of triceps after my chest workout, a few push downs, a few single arm push down, and I'll call it a day. Because the small muscle groups, the biceps, the triceps, I mean the calves, we can't talk about them the same because calves don't get a lot of indirect work unless you're walking a lot and you're hiking. But biceps and triceps, when you're pressing and when you're rowing and when you're doing your pull-ups, they get a lot of indirect work. So by the time you finish your chest workout, your triceps are already pre-exhausted. So they don't need much work, all right? You don't need to really get in them for 15 sets. I see people doing arm workouts that are just insane. Yeah, their arms are not that big, and I'm like, hey, why don't you focus more on the big compound lifts? It will give you a lot more bang for your buck, and at the same time, you're getting a lot of indirect work for your arms. Look at all the gymnasts, they have huge biceps, yet they barely do any biceps curl, because I met one, all right, but I saw a lot of videos about them. They just hang a lot, they do a lot of pull-ups, they do a lot of those hanging and swinging and just holding on to that bar, grow those arms. So the small muscle groups, I go for 6 to 8 sets, and I always finish off my workouts with the small muscle groups. Shoulders, I consider it as a pretty big muscle group, to be honest, because I give it a day on its own. Especially for me, it's a weakness for me. So I do a good 14, 16 sets for my shoulders. And that's it, guys. That's it. You don't want to overdo the sets. You want to add the sets intensifiers as you feel like you need it, as you're progressing. And for your small muscle groups, don't overdo it neither, because there's just no point. You know, the biceps and the triceps can get to failure with very little. Few sets to failure, high repetition, low rep, low rest, good mind muscle connection, you know, and good tempo. That's pretty much it. You know, don't overcomplicate the arm workout. For abs, for example, I would do, to be honest, for abs, I will do 8 sets of abs after my leg workout. So every 4 days, I'll do 8 sets of abs. And I feel like it's good enough, especially abs. We engage it so much on the big lifts. When you're bracing, when you're breathing correctly while lifting, your abs get a lot of indirect work. And calves, well, everyone knows I have the smallest calves, but I will also go for 6 to 8 sets after my quads and hamstring workout. So that's pretty much it for this video, guys. That's pretty much it. Quads and hamstring, well, you know what? Because I do quads and hamstring and they're both pretty big, I do spend a lot of time when I'm doing my leg workouts. My leg workout is the longest because I'll do a good 25 sets. It's a lot of sets. It's a lot of sets total for the whole leg workout. But it's the longest workout that I'll do because I'll have my quads, which is a huge muscle group, my hamstring. I'm thinking of probably cutting them in 2 days, splitting them, 1 day quads and 1 day just hamstring. But this is something that I gotta look more into. So that's pretty much it for this video, guys. How many sets? You got it. That's my opinion. That's what I believe is the most optimal. You don't need to keep increasing the sets because then you'll be kind of overdoing it, but increase the intensity as you progress. See you guys soon. Leave a like, leave a comment. Thanks all for the support. Cheers. Ciao.